street soldiers, freedom fighters. You got to get the right information. We need messages to get the families together. We need messages to come together. And when you reach one, you teach one.
Folks from the Safe Return Team, a group of formerly incarcerated Richmond residents working to strengthen the relationship of people coming home from incarceration with the broader community. We have 4 members of the team in the studio tonight: Laverne Vaughn, Tamisha Walker, Charles Newsom, Jonathan Perez.
Personally, for me, it hasn't been challenging. You know, there was a lot to learn because we didn't know anything about research or policy work or advocacy, anything like that. But it hasn't been challenging in the sense of I've always had, you know, a real strong belief in giving something back for all of the things that I'd done in the community previous to my incarceration. So for me, it's been extremely rewarding. The work is it's a lot of work. It's hard work.
Yeah.
And it's very challenging. It's hard to get people to change their minds and to look at things from a different perspective, to see me as a person and not just a number.
Why is recidivism so high? And I've heard numbers 66%, 75%. What that means, you know, for the listening audience is that 3 out of 4, sometimes 3 out of 4 people who've been in prison or in jail go back at some point.
I think for me, I would say a lack of opportunity as well. But realistically, I think it's that people need to individually look at themselves and the behaviors and the thought processes that they have. And a lot of times is people reoffend because they don't know no other way and haven't opened up to a different way of living life. And I think for the majority, that will be on the top of my list.
You know, they build up all these barriers to keep you in. You know, it's hard for you to get a job. They put that box on bottom of the application where you got to fill it. And I feel like as soon as they see that, they throw it to the garbage. You kind of get that application. You look at it, I'm like, man, do I really want to fill this? A lot of the time, you know, I was lying. I didn't fill that box, and I said I was never convicted of a felony. Probation officer, parole officer is always on your back, always just trying to be on you, always trying to cash you on something. And then, you know, you're just from the streets. It's kind of what you knew, what you grew up doing. So it's a lot of things that just kind of make you just drag you back down to where you back to jail pretty much.
Okay, like
the moment that I decided to change was the day that I got my prison sentence, because my son, who was 19 years old at the time, was my co-defendant. We went to prison together. And
that had to hurt.
That was absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a deciding factor for me, and I was determined from that moment. You know, the last thing I said to him in the courtroom before we walked out was, "Let's go do this time and get it over with and be done with this." And that was the day I decided I needed to live by example, because I was coming home before he was, and if I wanted him to do something different with his life, and I didn't want my son to be another statistic, I needed to make sure that I did something different with my life, because I'm the one who taught him how to do everything that he did.
We have a way of saying that you infected him.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I went to juvenile hall like a few times. It's just that every time I was up in there, went in, they were like, nah, we don't want to take them in. They were just full, so it was just in, got back out, did the same thing, kept doing it, got caught again. I probably got caught around like 6, 7 times, and I didn't get caught for everything. The only thing I did get caught was for stealing cars. So that's the only thing I did time for.
I had to cut my family off in many ways to be able to do what I needed to do on myself individually.
It definitely wasn't juvenile hall. That's not what changed me. It's I followed in the footsteps of my older brother. He's kind of didn't have my pops, so that was kind of my male role model. He's only 2 years older than me. It was a moment he got. I have a nephew. He's young. My older brother ended up getting incarcerated for attempted murder. He was facing about 20-something years. They moved him down to 16. Luckily, he has a more to do. When he got locked up, he was 18. I was 16. I was still in the life, and it kind of changed me, but I kind of didn't know what to do. After a year being on the run, just in that year, I was just like, I need to do something different. Started working, find a way to get a job. I was pretty much getting paid like $2-3 an hour. But I mean, what could I do? You know, after a year I turned 18, I was like, I need to do something different. So I turned myself in, and that's when I got out.
Wow.
When I got out, I just knew I needed to do something. I was looking for jobs. It was pretty hard to get a job. My sister-in-law gave me this guy's phone number, Richard, and I gave him a call. He told me they had a job opening, and he asked me, "Have you ever been locked up?" I was like, "I'm messed up here. This is I'm done." So I told him, "Yeah, I was," and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the I guess you could say qualifications." I'm all like, "Hold up, what? what type of job is this? You need to be locked up." And I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I don't really have a resume, didn't graduate high school, so I mean, I guess this is my type of job." So he didn't really tell me what the job was or the description about it, or what I was supposed to be doing. Got caught into the job, and after that, just never thought about, committing another crime, and after that, it was just straight uphill.
My wife was a co-defendant of mine. We both going to prison, left 2 small children behind with my mother, and just even, I was once a man of a beautiful family, a husband and a father, still father, of course, and still have a beautiful family. But I regret the fact that I'm not married today, that my family is not together today, and that I allowed, again, the system to create me, to allow life and its hardships and my lack of knowledge to create me to the life where I ultimately ended up in federal prison. So for me, it's a matter of just standing firm on my faith.
And it is not an easy thing to do. And when you are in front of family members, when you're in front of friends, when you're in front of people who you have clearly done a lot of dirt with, and saying, hey, I'm not doing those things anymore, and I'm calling you on that stuff, and the willingness to say, you know what? We cannot wait for somebody else to come rescue us. We gotta, as a community, rescue ourselves. We got to, if we cannot stand around and allow 3 people to tear up the whole community, and when the police come to get them, defend them. Like, have all these protests.
It was him, and her.
Yeah.
Take them.
Yeah. The protest should be, that's the house you want to get. That's the house you need to kick in.
That's right.
And our community's got to stop being held hostage by
ourselves.
Because until we really take quote-unquote ownership and do some of the things that they're talking about doing with the night walks, then it will always be this whole thing of looking outside for somebody to come in and do something.
We've dubbed this thing Alive and Free Richmond, and to see it, but it has to be actualized through people. Mm-hmm. And, I can't say how much admiration I have for you, really. I mean, this stuff would have been unthinkable. I hope people listening understand that you can do this.
Yeah.
As long as you decided you gonna do it.
It goes back to the individual.
Comes on and saying, I'm part of the solution, I'm not part of the problem, that I'm gonna be somebody that does a lot of good, that I want my community to be better, but I gotta be better first.